As you know if you read the Boruto manga, the lingering spirit of Momoshiki gave Boruto a seal on his hand after exchanging words with him. But what exactly is the seal Boruto obtained? First, I'm going to start off with my analysis of the seal's design and give you my thoughts on what I think it could be hinting at. Now, the base seal on Boruto's palm has a diamond shaped design. I did some research to figure out that in a lot of cultures throughout the world, diamonds are the geometric symbols of creation, which convey messages of rebirth, revival, and transformation. Also meaning a new life, an awakening, or awareness where past inhibitions are let go as people search for the truth and clarity, opening their minds to greater understanding. Did you know that it is said that Native Americans saw the diamond shape in butterfly symbolism, where it stands for the concepts of transformation and immortality? Plus, it is also said to symbolize protection in the form of wind. Okay, so next, I ended up seeing parallels between this design of the seal and one of the oldest forms of runic script stemming from Germanic tribes called Elder Futhark. The seal on Boruto's hand matched up with the rune in the Elder Futhark runic script called Ingwaz, which is a diamond rune that has the same meanings involving rebirth and etc. as I mentioned earlier. Also, I saw somewhere where Kawaki had a base seal under his eye that looked like one of the runes on here called Malthiz, which symbolizes resistance, frictions, and problems, which is very much lined up to the character of Kawaki from what we've seen so far of him. The seals could possibly be based on that, considering that I've seen Kawaki's seals design in the Elder Futhark, and I've seen Boruto's design in the Elder Futhark. So that could pretty much line up. And the designs, the seal's designs, when it goes over Boruto and Kawaki's bodies, they could very much line up to some Germanic tribal tattoos. With all that information being said, I'm now going into the part of my theory where I break down why Momoshiki gave Boruto the seal and the properties of the seal. Please remember the symbolism meanings as it directly ties into the full picture of these seals. Okay, so now to understand my theory regarding why Momoshiki gave Boruto the seal, you have to understand the words that Momoshiki said to Boruto and some of the conversations he had with Boruto and Naruto in earlier chapters. Let's start off with Momoshiki's dialogue on passing power onto the next generation. While Momoshiki is fighting Naruto and Boruto, he sits there and states, "Is that your child, Fox?" Momoshiki says as he activates his Byakugan. "I see. You seem to be shouldering quite an interesting fate," he says to Naruto. "I pity you, Fox. Even though you have all that power, you have no way of passing it on to your next generation. I'll show you just how my clan does it." He then proceeds to turn Kenshiki into a chakra fruit and eats him, thus allowing him to transform into a greater powered form. Okay, so by this dialogue, we understand that the Otsutsuki use methods to pass down power to each generation. One person usually stands by as a guardian for the other in order for them to absorb them and power up more. So it's all about passing down power within this group of Otsutsuki. So this opens up the idea that the Otsutsuki have so much power and they value power so much that they develop methods to pass on their powers to others. And you can see that Momoshiki is triggered by it because he says, even though you have all that power, you have no way of passing it on to your next generations. And he even says that, "I pity you, Fox." Also, side note, Momoshiki has the power to see people's fates with his Byakugan, and he stated that Naruto was shouldering quite an interesting fate. So from that dialogue too, you can see that even though he regards humans as inferior life forms, he is deep down intrigued by their lives and how it differs from his. So even though he calls them worthless and all this other stuff, he's actually intrigued by what he sees in their fates, and he's intrigued by all the different practices they do. Now, after Boruto defeated Momoshiki, the dialogue that Momoshiki Spirit had with Boruto is very important. Okay, so Boruto defeats Momoshiki. Afterwards, Boruto feels a presence. Momoshiki then questions, "You can feel our presence, son of man?" Boruto turns around and sees Momoshiki and proceeds to start freaking out. All while Boruto is freaking out, Momoshiki is calm. I see. You have the blood of one with Byakugan mixed within you, Momoshiki states, looking down on Boruto. He then comes right next to Boruto as Boruto tries to call out to his dad. "I am unable to foresee my own fate, even with the power I possess and the Byakugan. But I can see your fate quite clearly," he says as he activates his Byakugan, looking into Boruto's eyes. This dialogue right here shows that Momoshiki feels like he has all the power, but he couldn't even foresee his own fate, which makes him doubt himself. He then throws in that "but I can see your fate quite clearly," which indicates that although he says he basically failed, he can see Boruto's fate really clearly, and he's intrigued by it. He then says, "Pay heed. Those blue eyes of yours will one day take everything from you." This is basically telling Boruto that those blue eyes that make him human, foolish, and reckless will be his downfall and take everything from him. And you have to remember that Momoshiki has white eyes, and he looks at Boruto's blue eyes as a sign of his humanity and human nature. He then grabs Boruto's arm, and be self-aware that once someone has defeated a god, they cease to be an ordinary person. I analyzed this and came to the conclusion that after looking into Boruto's fate, that Momoshiki decided that he's going to pass on some of his power to Boruto, considering that he doesn't want to waste it and that he couldn't even foresee his own fate with all the power he had, but he can clearly see Boruto's fate and he's intrigued. So he's trying to think with a clear new understanding and actually see things differently. And remember that Momoshiki put heavy emphasis on passing down power to the next generation. After Momoshiki grabs Boruto, he then states, "That fate, bite down firmly on it and continue to walk the path." He's essentially telling Boruto to accept his fate. Then Momoshiki fades into a wind, saying, "Oh, son of man." He's trying to imply that Boruto is foolish and that he will learn the meaning of all that he said with time and experience. Then Boruto looks at his hand and sees a diamond-shaped seal on his palm. Now later in the chapter, Boruto looks at the seal on his hand and is reminded of the quote from Momoshiki saying that once someone has defeated a god, they cease to be an ordinary person, which therefore links that statement directly with the seal on his hand. Now with all that being said, what is the seal's power and purpose? Of course, after hearing my analysis of Momoshiki's words, I believe that this seal is in some sort an essence of Momoshiki's power. As backup to my theory, I analyzed the seal's structure / shape earlier on. You know how I told you to remember the symbolisms that came with the diamond? Well, like I'm gonna say it again, the diamond conveys messages of rebirth, revival, and transformation, a new life, an awakening, or awareness, where you let go of the past inhibitions and search for a truth and clarity, opening your minds to a greater understanding. So that symbolism accurately represents Momoshiki's state of mind after he was defeated by Boruto and when he was talking to Boruto as a lingering spirit. He basically put the seal on him to pass on power and create a new life within Boruto, because Boruto's a changed person with this kind of seal that gives him power, and is basically an essence of Momoshiki. So Momoshiki feels like he's opening himself up to a new understanding, considering how fucking arrogant Momoshiki was and how he looked at humans as nothing but low life forms. He's opening up his mind to a greater understanding, and that diamond is the clear symbolization of that. And it seems like after Boruto reports things happening to his body to Sasuke, Sasuke says, "Yo, this isn't normal, what's happening with your body?" So basically it powers Boruto up and it glows blue whenever he, like, I guess the chakra flows through the seal once it spreads on his body. But I think that the seal will spread with use and it will kind of become synced to Boruto, and Boruto is no longer an ordinary person because he has this newfound birth of power, and new life within him from Momoshiki passing on his power to Boruto. And if you notice, Momoshiki faded away into the wind when he departed and said, "Oh son of man." And remember when I said that Native Americans saw the diamond to symbolize protection in the form of wind? Momoshiki fades away into the wind past Boruto, through Boruto. He basically goes through Boruto as a wind and says, "Oh son of man." Like, it adds up, man. In the next chapter, Boruto uses a regular Rasengan, which he previously couldn't perform. In the battle versus Momoshiki, the only Rasengan Boruto could do was the vanishing Rasengan. And in this chapter, he does a full out regular Rasengan to one of the enemies in the mission that they had. So is this due to Boruto holding the combination Rasengan from his father and learning how to do a regular Rasengan after that, or is this based on the Momoshiki's power that he gave Boruto? Is Boruto now able to fucking do a regular Rasengan? Another thing is that the colors that ignite within the seals, blue and red, it could also symbolize yin and yang release. Boruto could have yang, which is physical energy that governs vitality, which is blue, and Kawaki could have yin, the spiritual energy that governs imagination, red. So something like that could be connected. That's just something I noticed. Also, after Momoshiki's words about Boruto's blue eyes being what takes everything away from him, which actually means that his recklessness and shit like that will take everything away from him, the panels and chapters after that was said heavily focus on Boruto getting told by other people, "Why are you being so reckless and careless? Like, you don't care about the mission." Like, and even Gaara's son commented on Boruto, like, "Why is he so reckless?" Like, and then Sarada said that, "Boruto, your eyes are bluer than the sevenths." That means that Boruto is kind of more reckless and more just not as on a path as Naruto was. And that further symbolizes that this will be what throws him off the path and takes everything from him. And we can even see that Boruto's in a fucked up situation on the first episode of Boruto when they had that time skip. It seems like this is kind of a flashback. The whole series is kind of a flashback building up to that moment. So that is my theory regarding Boruto seal that he got from Momoshiki. I know it's a long video. Appreciate you guys watching. Comment what you think about this. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in a comment, and turn on my notifications so you know when that next video drops. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll hit you guys with the next Boruto theory video.